Beaten by her own father, she ran into the night. A cowboy changed her fate forever. The night she ran, Montana Territory, 1876. The night smelled of dust and cold iron. Abigail Turner pressed her trembling hand against her split lip, tasting blood as she stood in the corner of the barn. The lantern above her swayed gently, throwing long shadows across the wooden walls. Every creak of the old boards made her flinch. "You ungrateful girl!" Her father's voice echoed in her ears even after he had stormed out, slamming the door so hard the horses whinnied in fear. Abigail's body ached everywhere. Her back burned where the whip had struck her, and her arms were bruised from trying to shield her face. All because she said no. No to marrying a man twice her age. No to being sold like land or cattle. No to a life she never chose. Abigail was only 19. She had learned long ago that crying only made things worse, so she swallowed her sobs and focused on breathing. In, out, slowly. The way her late mother used to tell her. "Be strong, Abby. Storms don't last forever." Her mother had been gone 5 years now, buried on a lonely hill behind the house. And since then, the storms had never stopped. Her father, Jeremiah Turner, was once a respected rancher. But whiskey had hollowed him out, leaving behind a cruel, unpredictable man. To him, Abigail was nothing more than a burden, or worse, a bargaining chip. Tomorrow, he planned to deliver her to Silas Crow, a wealthy rancher known for his temper and his taste for young wives. Abigail's stomach twisted. "I won't survive that," she thought. "I won't survive another year here." She looked down at her hands, shaking but determined. Tonight was the night. The escape. Abigail moved quietly, every step careful as she slipped out of the barn and toward the small shack that had once been her mother's sewing room. Moonlight painted the prairie silver, and the wind whispered through the tall grass like a warning. She packed only what she could carry. A small loaf of bread, a tin cup, her mother's worn shawl, and a few coins she had secretly saved over the years. No one would come looking for her kindly. If her father found her, she didn't finish the thought. She tied her brown hair into a loose braid, pulled the shawl tight around her shoulders, and took one last look at the house she had grown up in. There was no love there anymore. Only fear. Abigail turned away and ran. Her boots sank into the dirt as she followed the narrow trail leading away from the ranch. She didn't know exactly where she was going, only that she had to keep moving. East, maybe. Toward the mountains. Toward anything that wasn't this place. The night air bit into her skin, but she welcomed the pain. It reminded her she was still alive. After an hour, her legs began to shake. Her breath came in ragged gasps. The bruises on her back screamed with every step. Then she heard it. Hoofbeats. Her heart slammed against her ribs. No, please no. She ducked off the trail, crouching behind a cluster of rocks. The sound grew louder, closer. A horse emerged from the darkness, tall and powerful, ridden by a broad-shouldered man wearing a wide-brimmed hat. Abigail pressed a hand to her mouth, afraid even her breathing would give her away. The rider slowed. He turned his head slightly, as if he sensed something. "Easy, boy," he murmured to his horse, his voice deep and calm. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then Abigail's leg gave out. She cried out softly as she fell forward onto the dirt. The man was off his horse in an instant. The cowboy. "Hey, easy now," the stranger said, kneeling beside her. "I won't hurt you." Abigail tried to crawl away, terror flooding her veins. "Please, don't," she whispered. The man froze, hands raised, slightly in surrender. "I swear on my life, miss," he said gently. "You're safe." Moonlight revealed his face, rough, weathered, but not cruel. His eyes were a striking gray, steady and alert, with something warm beneath the hardness of frontier life. He noticed the bruises immediately. Damn, his jaw tightened. Who did this to you? Abigail shook her head weakly. She didn't trust her voice. The cowboy removed his coat and draped it over her shoulders without touching her skin. The gesture was so unexpected, so careful, that tears stung her eyes. My name's Cole, he said softly. Cole Zachary. I'm headed north to my ranch. You look like you're about to collapse. I can't go back, Abigail whispered, the words finally spilling out. If he finds me. Cole didn't press her. He didn't ask questions she wasn't ready to answer. You don't have to, he said simply. Something in his tone, firm but kind, made her believe him. Her strength finally gave out. As darkness closed in, the last thing Abigail felt was Cole lifting her into his arms, steady and strong, as if she weighed nothing at all. A promise in the dark. When Abigail woke, the fire was crackling nearby, and the scent of coffee filled the air. She was wrapped in a blanket, Cole's coat folded beneath her head. Cole sat across from her, sharpening a knife, his movements slow and unthreatening. You've been out a while, he said, glancing up. Fever nearly took you. She pushed herself up, panic flashing through her chest. Where am I? Camped about 10 miles from the Turner Ranch, he replied. You're safe. Her breath caught. You know my father. Cole nodded. Everyone does. Doesn't mean I approve. Silence stretched between them, heavy but not uncomfortable. Finally, Abigail spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. He was going to sell me. Cole's hand stilled. Rage flickered in his eyes, but he kept his voice calm. Not happening. Not while I'm breathing. For the first time in her life, Abigail felt something she barely recognized. Hope. Under his protection, morning came softly, as if the land itself feared waking Abigail too harshly. Golden light stretched across the prairie, warming her face. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then the dull ache in her back reminded her of everything. She opened her eyes slowly. The camp was simple. Just a small fire pit, 2 bedrolls, and a saddled horse grazing nearby. Cole Zachary stood a short distance away, pouring water from a canteen, his back turned to her. He moved with the quiet confidence of a man who had spent most of his life outdoors. Abigail pushed herself upright, wincing. Cole heard her instantly. Easy, he said, turning around. You're not healed yet. I'm fine, she replied automatically, though they both knew it wasn't true. He handed her a tin cup. Drink. Water first, then coffee. She hesitated before taking it, her fingers brushing his. The contact was brief, but it sent an unfamiliar warmth through her chest. Thank you, she said softly. Cole nodded, watching her carefully, not like a man judging, but like someone making sure she wouldn't collapse again. They sat in silence for a while, the only sound the wind brushing against the grass. Finally, Abigail spoke. You don't know what you're getting yourself into by helping me. Cole gave a small, humorless smile. I know exactly what I'm doing. She looked at him then, really looked. The scars on his hands told stories of hard work and harder fights. His clothes were worn but clean. And his eyes held a depth that made her feel strangely seen. My father won't stop looking for me, she said. He'll tell everyone I'm stolen property. Cole's jaw tightened. Men like him always do. You could still leave, she added quickly. I won't blame you. Cole crouched so they were eye level. His voice was steady. Abigail, listen to me. I don't walk away from people who need help. And I sure as hell don't hand women back to men who hurt them. Her throat closed. No one had ever said that to her before. The road north. By midday, they were moving again. Abigail rode behind Cole on his horse, her arms loosely around his waist to keep her balance. Every jolt sent pain through her body, but she refused to complain. The prairie stretched endlessly ahead of them, beautiful and terrifying all at once. "Where are we going?" she asked after a while. "My ranch," Cole answered. "It's not fancy. Just land, a cabin, and a few hired hands. But it's safe." "Safe sounds like heaven," she whispered. Cole glanced back at her. "No one there will touch you without your permission. I'll make sure of it." Her grip tightened slightly, not from fear, but relief. As the hours passed, Abigail found herself relaxing against him. His presence was solid, reassuring. She could feel the steady rhythm of his breathing, the strength in his back. It scared her how quickly she trusted him. Shadows of the past. They stopped near a stream as evening approached. Cole helped her down carefully, his hands respectful, his touch firm but gentle. He cleaned her wounds with practiced ease, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Does it hurt?" he asked. She nodded. "But I'm used to pain." That answer made something dark flicker across his face. "No one should ever be used to pain," he said quietly. Abigail stared at the water rushing past them. "My mother used to say love was supposed to feel safe." Cole looked at her. She was right. Silence fell again, heavier this time. "Did you ever love someone?" she asked, surprising herself. Cole hesitated. "Once. Long time ago. Lost her to this land and the life it demands." "I'm sorry," Abigail said. "So am I," he replied. For the first time, she realized Cole wasn't just rescuing her, he was running from ghosts of his own. Danger on the trail. That night, they made camp beneath a sky thick with stars. Abigail lay awake, staring upward, when she heard it. Voices. Distant, but unmistakable. Cole was on his feet instantly, rifle in hand. "Stay here," he whispered. Fear flooded her veins. "Is it him?" "Could be," Cole said grimly. The voices grew louder. "Horses. At least 3. Cole crouched beside her. "If anything happens, you run toward the trees. Don't look back." Her eyes widened. "I won't leave you." "That's not a choice," he said firmly. The riders passed close, too close. Abigail held her breath as a lantern glow swept across the camp's edge. One of the men laughed. "Old Turner's paying good money for his runaway." Her blood turned to ice. Cole's grip tightened on his rifle. But then the riders moved on, disappearing into the dark. Minutes passed before Cole finally lowered the weapon. "They didn't see us," he said. Abigail collapsed against him, shaking. Without thinking, Cole wrapped his arms around her, holding her steady. "It's okay," he murmured. "I've got you." She pressed her face into his chest, tears soaking his shirt. For the first time in her life, she felt truly protected. A line neither crosses. Later, as the fire died down, Abigail spoke softly. "Why are you really helping me, Cole?" He looked at her for a long moment. "Because once, a long time ago, no one helped someone I loved. And I promised myself I'd never be that man." Her heart clenched. Something unspoken settled between them, warm, fragile, dangerous. They slept on opposite sides of the fire, but neither truly rested. Because both of them knew. This journey was changing more than just their destination. The place called home. The ranch came into view just as the sun dipped low, setting the sky on fire. Abigail lifted her head from where she had been resting against Cole's back. Rolling hills stretched out before them, dotted with fences and grazing cattle. At the center stood a modest wooden cabin, smoke curling gently from its chimney. "That's it," Cole said. "Zachary Ranch." Abigail's chest tightened. Not with fear, but something closer to disbelief. "You live here, alone?" she asked. "Mostly," he replied. I've got two hands who come and go. And Mrs. Holloway in town keeps threatening to marry me off. Despite herself, Abigail smiled. As they rode closer, a tall man stepped out of the barn, wiping his hands on his trousers. He froze when he saw Abigail. "Well, I'll be damned," he said. "Cole, you bringing home trouble now." Cole dismounted smoothly. "Ethan, this is Abigail. She'll be staying with us." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "That's so." Abigail stiffened, suddenly feeling exposed. Cole's voice hardened just enough. "She's under my protection." Ethan's expression softened instantly. "Then she's welcome." Abigail hadn't realized how tense she'd been until that moment. First night of safety. Inside the cabin, warmth wrapped around her like a promise. It was simple but clean. Wooden floors, a small table, shelves lined with books. Cole set his hat down and gestured toward a narrow hallway. "There's a room at the back," he said. "It's yours." "Yours," she repeated. He nodded. "No one's ever slept in it. I kept it for guests." She swallowed. "Thank you." As she washed up, staring at her reflection in a small mirror, she barely recognized herself. Bruised, tired, but alive. And safe. That night, lying on a real bed for the first time in years, Abigail waited for fear to return. It didn't. A glimpse of normal. Days passed, slow and steady. Abigail helped in the kitchen, learned the rhythm of ranch life, and felt her strength slowly return. Cole never pushed her, never asked more than she was willing to give. Sometimes, she caught him watching her, his gaze thoughtful, conflicted. One afternoon, as they fixed a broken fence together, Ethan leaned toward her and whispered, "You know he hasn't looked at anyone like that in years." Her face warmed. "Looked like what?" "Like he's afraid to want something." Abigail pretended not to hear, but the words settled deep in her chest. Town trouble. A week later, Cole insisted they go into town for supplies. Abigail wore her mother's shawl, pulling it close as they rode side by side. The town was small, dusty streets, curious eyes. Whispers followed them. "That's Turner's girl. Thought she was promised to Crow." Cole Zachary's got himself mixed up. Abigail's hands shook. Cole noticed immediately. He dismounted, took her hand, and held it openly. "Let them see." At the general store, Silas Crow himself stood near the counter. His eyes narrowed when he saw Abigail. "Well now," he drawled. "Seems you wandered off, little bird." Abigail froze. Cole stepped between them. "She's not yours." Crow smirked. "Her father says otherwise." Cole's voice dropped to something dangerous. "Then her father's wrong." The tension crackled like lightning. Crow leaned closer. "You're making enemies, Zachary." Cole didn't blink. Wouldn't be the first time. They left without another word, but the threat lingered. Almost. That night, Abigail couldn't sleep. She found Cole outside, staring at the stars. "Are you angry I'm here?" she asked softly. He turned. "No, I'm angry that the world taught you to ask that." Emotion surged between them. Too much, too fast. "I don't want to be a burden," she whispered. Cole stepped closer. "You're not." Their faces were inches apart. Abigail could feel his breath, steady but tight. Her heart pounded. For a moment, it seemed he might kiss her. Then he pulled back. "I won't take anything from you," he said. "Not after what you've been through." Tears burned her eyes, not from pain, but something dangerously close to love. The calm before the storm. From the porch, Abigail watched Cole ride out the next morning, the sun rising behind him. For the first time, she thought, "This could be my life." But far away, a man named Jeremiah Turner was counting his money. And planning to take back what he believed was his. When the past came for her, the morning felt wrong. Abigail sensed it the moment she stepped outside. The air was too still, the birds too quiet. Even the horses shifted nervously in the corral. She wrapped her shawl tighter around herself. Cole had ridden out before sunrise to check the north fence line. Ethan was repairing a wagon near the barn, humming softly. Abigail tried to shake the unease and went inside to prepare breakfast. That was when the door slammed open. She barely had time to turn before rough hands grabbed her arms and yanked her backward. A cloth pressed over her mouth. "Quiet now," a man whispered. "Unless you want him dead." Panic ripped through her. She struggled, but she was still weak, and there were 3 of them. One face she recognized instantly. Silas Crow. Taken. Crow smiled coldly. "Your father's been real upset, girl. You caused him a lot of trouble." Abigail's heart thundered. "Cole will stop you." Crow laughed. "He ain't here." They dragged her outside. Ethan shouted, reaching for his gun, but another man struck him from behind, sending him to the dirt. Abigail screamed. They shoved her onto a horse and rode hard, the ranch disappearing behind them in a cloud of dust. Her thoughts raced. Cole, please. Cole's rage. Cole knew something was wrong before he reached the ranch. Ethan's hat lay in the dirt. The door hung open. "No," Cole breathed. When Ethan told him what happened, Cole didn't hesitate. He saddled his horse, eyes blazing. "I'm bringing her back." "Cole, there's too many of them," Ethan warned. "Then I'll be enough." Face to face with fear, Abigail's wrists burned where they were tied. They stopped near an abandoned cabin miles from town. Her father stood waiting. Jeremiah Turner looked older than she remembered, thinner, meaner. His eyes lit up when he saw her. "There you are," he said. "You humiliated me." Tears streamed down her face. "I just wanted to live." Jeremiah's hand struck her across the face. "You live when I say you live." Crow stepped back, uneasy. "We got what you wanted. Let's finish this." Gunfire shattered the air. Cole burst through the trees like a storm. "Get away from her." Chaos erupted. Shots rang out. Horses screamed. Cole moved with deadly precision. One man went down. Then another. Crow ran. Jeremiah grabbed Abigail, using her as a shield. "Drop the gun," he shouted. Cole froze, chest heaving. Abigail looked into her father's eyes, and felt nothing but emptiness. "I'm not yours anymore," she said. She stomped on his foot and twisted free. Cole fired. Jeremiah fell, breaking down. Silence followed, heavy and final. Abigail collapsed into Cole's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "It's over," he whispered. "He can't hurt you again." She clung to him like he was the only thing keeping her upright. "I was so afraid," she cried. "I thought I'd lose you." Cole pulled back just enough to look at her face. His voice broke. "I couldn't lose you. I won't." Before she could think, Abigail reached up and kissed him. Not fierce, not rushed, just real. Cole kissed her back, careful, trembling, like he'd been holding this moment inside for too long. When they parted, his forehead rested against hers. "I love you," he said quietly, as if saying it too loud might break the world. Abigail smiled through tears. I always have. A new beginning begins." They buried the past that day. When they rode back to the ranch together, the sky was wide and endless. For the first time, Abigail didn't feel like she was running. She felt like she was home. What comes after the fire? The town gathered faster than anyone expected. By the time Cole and Abigail rode in the next morning, word had already spread. Jeremiah Turner was dead, Silas Crow had vanished, and Cole Zachary had stood in the middle of it all. Abigail kept her eyes forward, her hand resting lightly on Cole's arm. She could feel the stares, the whispers curling through the dusty street. "Do you regret it?" she asked softly. Cole didn't hesitate. Not for a second. At the sheriff's office, Cole told the truth, every hard, ugly piece of it. The sheriff, an older man with tired eyes, listened carefully. When a man beats his daughter and tries to sell her, he finally said, he loses any right to call himself her keeper. Abigail exhaled for the first time in days. You're free, the sheriff said to her. Legally. Completely. Those words hit harder than any blow ever had. Free. Healing takes time. Back at the ranch, life slowed. Cole gave Abigail space, but he was always there, bringing her tea, fixing the porch swing, sitting quietly beside her when the nights grew heavy. Some evenings she woke shaking from dreams of her father's voice. Cole would pull her close, not speaking, just holding her until her breathing steadied. I don't know how to be normal, she admitted one night. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. Then we'll learn together. Town whispers and brave choices. Despite the sheriff's ruling, not everyone in town was kind. She trapped him, a woman muttered once. Used him to escape, said another. Abigail heard every word. One afternoon, she didn't retreat. She stood in the general store and spoke, her voice calm but unshaking. I survived, she said. And I won't apologize for that. The room fell silent. Cole watched from the doorway, pride shining in his eyes. That night, he took her hand on the porch. You were brave today. She smiled softly. I learned from you. A question without words. As weeks passed, the ranch bloomed. Abigail laughed more. She rode horses, learned to shoot, and even helped Ethan with the books. The bruises faded, but the strength remained. One evening, under a sky full of stars, Cole built a small fire. I never planned to have a family, he said quietly. But plans change. Abigail looked at him, heart full. So do people. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a simple silver ring. I can't promise an easy life, he said. But I can promise it'll be honest. And safe. And full of love. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she nodded. Yes. He said last. They didn't rush the wedding. But when it happened, it was small and perfect. Just the ranch hands. The open sky, the wind moving gently through the grass. As Cole kissed his bride, Abigail felt something settle inside her. The past no longer owned her. She had chosen this life. And this man. The future they built. Years later, travelers would speak of Zachary Ranch with quiet respect. A place where a broken girl found her strength. Where a lonely cowboy found his heart. And where love proved stronger than fear. Subscribe for more video.